I don't think that comes anywhere near the cracked leaves. Guess we can hold it around, but oh, interesting. It's actually got kind of stats on it. Weird. They void. HP mana and endurance. Yeah, the damage delay on this is awful. Probably not worth it. It's gonna blind us, isn't it? Yep. No other skeleton for us. gonna run into the guards. Five AA points. I really don't know what to do with the AA points at all. Maybe I'll just hold them until we switch class. What? What's up, baby? Running around meowing. Patterns. What? What's up? Why are we crying like that? What's going on? Not very helpful, Chili. Change the chat color. Not off the top of my head. No. Sorry, Laz. Yeah, there's so much extra stuff on the UI that I just have no idea what's going on. Stop licking my hand, please. Thank you. Don't you go rubbing your head against the monitor? Little dildo. Hello. Weird enough, just seeing stuff like the crossed swords over this mob's head to let you know that it's like threatening to you. Oops, that was a bat. Oh, come over here. You are forced not to be reckoned with, Lucy's brother. Hell yeah, true evil. EverQuest Legends. Like a solo version, sort of, kind of. Be up to 3 classes on the same character. Better than 110 for sure. Yeah, I mean it's not a fucking, not a very fucking high bar, is it? The bar's so fucking low a cockroach could gallop over it. It can fly. That's neither here nor there, isn't it? might be. Here's she'll be. I don't know why she'll be, but she'll be. Have you had a good day, Senna? Granblue Fantasy. What more is there out there? Wish you had Pathfinder. Yeah. Would have been cool. Next week, I think, right? Had to redouble check our roster. Next week, not too bad. That is unfortunately life. Hello, Chile. That's not a good place to stand. Didn't have my tackle. I think I might be a little bit tired. Cloth patterns. As this game, it's what I expected it to be. Really, it's just EverQuest, but modernized in terms of the UI and stuff, which is probably the most overwhelming thing. Like, there's all sorts of weird shit going on. Like, there's like floating combat text and stuff, which is really odd. Then was wait, what? Wait, what? How? How have I done that? What the hell? I don't understand. How on earth have I managed to do that? What the hell? I have genuinely no idea how I managed to do that. I didn't go anywhere near you. What the hell? I'll fix your mod thing in a second, sorry. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't know, I must have like dragged the mouse on the wrong portion of the screen and it went onto the other monitor and I don't know. Some random... I was like, why center bin? Huh? What the hell? Plus. Sorry about that, Senna. I have no idea how I managed to do that. There's some real magic at work. That was ridiculous. I've absolutely no idea how that could possibly happen. I must have like dragged my cursor to the edge of the screen and just tapped the timeout icon without realizing that I'd taken it over to the other screen. I was there like, who's done that? Who's banned Senna? No. Why is Dan Clancy banned Senna? That's a rat. Why use 2 sticks when 1 is enough? I don't have a good answer for you there, Capital. You tell me. Damn, we were on the... Apparently we're back at this back. Don't know how we've managed to do that. Sleeves? I don't think we have sleeves yet, do we? No. Working our way towards that big cloth set. It's in what? Board, chest, mask. We're actually getting there. Almost 80% of the way through. 5. And then we should be able to get into Befallen, which is gonna make things a lot better. Really, really freaky still watching the rats like buff themselves and shit. They have second classes. So strange. God, it's 20 past 12. This is problematic already, I see. I just lost like 4 hours of my life. Why did Senna get banned? Because I somehow crazy misclicked my screen. I have no idea. I think my cursor went just off of the side of my monitor, one of my monitors, and onto the next, and there's like not a very wide gap there between the timeout button. It's just really unlikely that I would ever get hit. It just happened to be in that moment, I think. What's up, Chili? What? You're so vocal today. What? Meow, meow, meow. What happened? Another necklace. And a chili. Right in front of the screen. As per usual. Steve Mace. 638. So nothing on our cracked stave, does it? Oh, this is a cloth shaker plus 4. Oh, this is a cloth shaker plus 4. Big cloth shaker plus 5. Can the item get any better? What's going on, Chills? Please don't lick my arm. 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 Oh, thank you. No, no, no. God damn it. One great stuff. One over here by this wall. Oh, it's parrying dagger. That's interesting. There's anything we can really do with that. Probably just sell it. Parrying dagger just works like a shield. Weird weapon. Weird thingy. It's sell okay. $2 gold. Spam healed. There must be a bunch of healers there. That's just a rusty. Imagine that in suit. Huge cloth choker. Almost there. About 90. Scimitar. We could technically use that as well, right? I think. If we ever get an actual scimitar, because druids can use scimitars. Yeah, I don't know. I guess they can use certain scimitars. I don't know if rusty scimitars are up druid's alley. Where did all these fire beetles come from? I have to go find the origin ability in a minute. Oh, it's probably in our A. We want to spend our advancement on. I don't know. Leave it for now. Actually remembering to use the mend now. We're not really using any part of the druid. I guess we're using flame lick. Big old flame lick. How do you change your UI so there's no bubbles on the HP mana XP bars? I did /load and then default modern. That's all I've done. Yeah, hopefully that helps. Yeah, no worries. My pleasure. There's so many things to try to find on the UI. Wait, is this the old Freeport? Yeah, it is. It is, Mark. This is the only Freeport that I really remember. I'm actually playing them. Yeah, it's really fun so far. Really fun so far. I don't know a huge amount about it, but I followed a little bit about it on YouTube, and it just seems really well put together. Seems like it only gets better from here, really. And it seems like they really mean to support it for a long time. 5 expansions and whatnot. Yeah, hitting spiders with us stays 15 years later, indeed. That's a very pretty robe. I'm gel. I'm gel. Gel of this pink robe. Holy moly. Where's my pink robe? Where's my pink robe? The last couple of humanoids now, really. Very, very close. Well, because I should be off stream now. It should have been about 40 minutes ago. Ah, dear. It's a dangerous game. Sorry, I'm doing my Revan's clears on the phone. It's all good. Are they still blue out of interest? They are. We could say they for longer. I'm not going to. I mean, I'm not. I'm gonna log off because otherwise. Yeah. I blinked, Lars. I blinked and 4 hours had passed. Like, no joke. I absolutely, I was just like, man, I'm starting to get tired. It's really weird. I've only been playing for like half an hour. And I looked at the clock and I was like, oh. Ah, fuck. Ah, no. I guess we can merge that together. I don't think this beats the cracked staff though. That has done sweet FA for the Splintering Club. That has done absolutely nothing. That's completely useless. It's because like cracked staff is too OP. Right, let me get out of it rather than just wandering around. Monk Guild Master. I think we can train Flying Kick. Maybe we don't actually need to train it. Not Flying Kick. Round Kick, right? Do I have to train this or not? I can't remember. Maybe I already have it here. Where do I look? Players. Action. What, round kick? Don't think so. Round kick is a kick replacement for monks. Where can I find a list of my skills? Actions? Ah, actions. Here we go. There's the money shot. Round kick there. Round kick is your current target, then attacks up to 3 additional enemies in front of you. It's amazing finding new things in this game, in this client. Oh, this is where the spells are. This is where spells are as well. So this is what I was talking about earlier. You can just access all your spells through here. Like you can access your spell gems and whatnot here. Doo-doo-doo. I think you can, yeah, you can see show unscribed here. So you can see all of the spells you're missing. You're worried that you've missed a spell or something. Also, I think see your spells all the way down to max level. You can check out everything that a class gets. Hey, Rory! What's up? I don't think we really need to buy any spells in particular. I don't know if we can take on another clash yet. I don't... I really don't know how this works. Seems like all of the classes are getting leveled together at these low levels. You can just swap between them as much as you want. So there's not really any point in being a druid. I guess there kind of is. I wonder when you can get your third class. I don't really understand when you get your third class. Maybe I should look it up. Pretty sure it's level 10. Do you think you just get to grab it? The third class. It's available once you reach level 10, and you choose from any of the standard classes. Unlike your primary class, you can swap your third and secondary classes. Yeah, sure. Dynamically while in cities, your pools and stats are combined. I guess you just grab it. You just get it once you hit level 10. Get it. So that's why people like. I think people just do like mage to level 10. It's just called America. I'm guessing like at level 10 you just get to re-pick all of your shit. Do we want any spells from here? Oh, I'm way too far. Or have I? You need that. Fire Fist would be really useful. Go shield of wood is just wood skin ass, right? Quite high level. What, Chili? What is that noise? What's the matter with you? I think that's all I really need for now. Oh, spirit. Your pet? Oh, because you can charm level, I guess. Charm animals, yeah, befriend animal. Too much to think about right now. EB area a bit. Oh, I should sell before I leave. Why you like this, Julie? Why you like this? This I have already bound. Ditch this. Oh. Where is the destroy button? Right, that. Is once you equip items in this, once fiend, no drop. Oh, we actually have 5 plat. Crazy shit. Right, I need to go. I need to go, or yeah, I'm gonna have issues. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll probably be playing some more of this. We're gonna get into dungeoning and whatnot. Thank you for watching. Yeah. Have a great night. I'm sorry. I've just been completely fucking zoned out. Yeah, EverQuest is gonna kill me. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Senna. Thanks, Lars. Thanks, Quantum. Thanks, Libra. Thank you, Fox. Thanks, Wobblebee. Thanks, thanks anyone else who's still out there. My brain is, yeah, jelly. Take care. Much love. Bye bye.